Pao in the city. Woo! 20 centimeters of the finest pao in the middle of... Despite the yen being at a 30-year low, ski accommodation in Japan can be really pricey at times. Okay, I know that's a bit of a crass example, but still. The problem I encountered at Japanese ski resorts is that the options for accommodations are often very limited, and paying $200 to $300 per night per person for a 3-star hotel is not unusual. In some places, even staying in a shared room at a hostel can cost you $100. Now, what if I told you that on my last trip to Japan, I mostly stayed at 4-star hotels and on average only spent $70 per night. On top of that, I enjoyed a bigger selection of restaurants, bars, nightlife and entertainment in general than I would have at pretty much any ski resort. So in this video, I'd like to present you my 4 favorite Japanese cities where you can stay for crazy cheap while still being relatively close to some of the best ski resorts this country has to offer. 3 of them are on Hokkaido and 1 on Honshu, and there's a good chance that you've never heard the name of 2 of them. So let's look at the first city and see why it's really great. So here we have a nice 5-star hotel, and how much is it? $68 US. And if there's 2 of you, $75 US, so less than $40 each. How sick is that? Oh, and check out their onsen. That will be great after skiing. There's a sauna as well. Good food, nice rooms. What about the location? We must be really far out of town for such a good deal. Nope, right in the center. And even better, we're walking distance from the beer museum. Yes, we are in Sapporo, Hokkaido's biggest city with over 2 million inhabitants. So naturally, this city has anything you could possibly want, with a seemingly endless supply of bars, restaurants, attractions, and of course hotels to choose from. I've been to Sapporo on all of my 4 previous Japan trips because this city is just really fun. There's also the Sapporo Ice Festival at the beginning of February, which is very cool. Literally. Just be aware that during this time the hotels might be a little bit more expensive because of the higher demand, so book early if you can, but we booked last minute and it still wasn't too bad. But what about the skiing? Well, the closest resort would be Sapporo Tene, a small resort that's actually pretty fun with some steeper skiing around the top, and you don't even need a car to get there because there are free buses that'll take you straight to the resort in like half an hour. And speaking of free buses, there's even one that'll take you all the way to Rusutsu and back, a pretty big and popular resort that you've probably heard of. The drive there is a little bit longer, with around an hour and a half, so not ideal if you plan to ski there multiple days, but it's actually really hard to find cheap accommodation close to Rusutsu, and therefore staying in Sapporo might be well worth it. Another resort that's actually one of my favorites in Japan, that's just under an hour from Sapporo, is Kokusai. There's no hotel up there, so ski in, ski out wouldn't be possible in the first place. So 3 pretty cool resorts that you can access from Sapporo without even needing a car. This makes Sapporo a great option for the start or the end of your ski trip, as you'll most likely fly into Chitose Airport and you can just take the train to or from the city and explore while still being able to shred some POW. In Sapporo, you can still kinda get away with speaking English, even though it's already not as widely spoken as in Tokyo, for example. However, in the next city I'm about to show you, it definitely pays off if you know a little bit of Japanese. I regularly take language lessons on italki, which happens to be the sponsor of today's video. Italki is a language learning platform that lets you choose from over 30,000 teachers in 150 languages for one-on-one personalized lessons. I've taken over 70 such lessons on italki already, and my teachers have always been very professional and also really fun.
初めて豚骨食べた時に美味しいと思ったんですか？
はい、バンクーバーで初めて食べた。
バンクーバーで食べた。
豚骨ラーメンとビールのスポンサー一応。
ビールのスポンサー。はい。
It really doesn't matter what level you are in any given language, as the teachers are really great at giving you customized material. You can do conversation practice, grammar, pronunciation, business speech, and so on. It's not a subscription, which means that you pay per lesson, which you can schedule as it fits you best. This works really great for me, because as long as there's an internet connection, I can hop on a lesson whenever, wherever. Now that my next trip to Japan is coming closer, I try to take a lesson at least once a week.
じゃあ他のホテルはどうだった？例えば東京とか。
東京のホテルは部屋がちょっと小さい。
そうだよね。
はい。
とても小さいよね。
うん。
高かった？
大丈夫だったけど、札幌より東京の方が高い。
ああ、そうだよね。そうだよね、きっとね。
Lessons are as cheap as $5, and the first 50 people who use my code Andreas will get $5 when purchasing a $10 credit. So whether you want to order your first beer in Japanese
生ビール4つお願いします。はい、ありがとうございます。
or maybe learn or refresh some other language, italki is the right tool for you. Click the link below to start your language learning journey. This way, visiting the next town on our list will be a breeze for you. The clip you just watched of me ordering 4 beers was taken in a karaoke place in Asahikawa, which is the next city I want to show you. It's about a 2-hour drive to the northeast of Sapporo. Since it's located a little bit more in the center of Hokkaido and not at the coast, I found that the snow here is even drier than in Niseko.
Pow pow in the city. Woo! 20 centimeters of the finest pow pow in the middle of Asahikawa.
As Hokkaido's second biggest city, you also have many options for food and accommodation. We stayed at a 4-star hotel, walking distance from the center, and paid less than $70 for our 2-person room. The closest ski resort is Kamui Ski Links, only 30 minutes away. I haven't been to it yet, but from what I've heard, it's actually quite fun, with cheap lift tickets and not at all crowded. Apart from groomers, it offers off-piste and side country as well, so a little bit for everyone. If you're looking to ski something a bit more challenging, you can also drive to Asahidake, Hokkaido's highest peak, and roughly an hour drive from the city. Asahidake has a tram, and you can ski tour and hike to the top to the active volcano, which is quite amazing. There are a few hotel options at the bottom of the hill, but the problem is that they can be a bit pricey, and more importantly, the tram isn't running when the wind gets too strong, which kinda happens a lot. Therefore, it makes sense to stay in Asahikawa and decide the day before, depending on the weather forecast, whether or not you wanna drive to Asahidake. As an alternative, you can hit Furano instead, which is similar in driving distance as Asahidake. Furano is yet another excellent resort, and actually one of my favorites in all of Japan. I'd pick Furano over Niseko any day, as it has lots of terrain, fun groomers, off-piste, and is even surprisingly steep for Hokkaido standards. Furano does offer accommodation and a few bars and restaurants, though the hotels won't be as cheap as Asahikawa, and I also didn't see any all-you-can-drink for really cheap.
Now we're gonna have ourselves some all-you-can-eat and all-you-can-drink. Tabe hodai, nomi hodai. For like $30.
And if you decide to stay up late and party, you can do some karaoke in town. Sorry you had to see that. Lastly, there's also Kurodake, a small resort with a tram north of Asahidake. I haven't been there yet, but heard good things as well, and hopefully I'll be able to check it out on my next trip. But let's switch over to the main island of Honshu and have a look at the city that hosted the 1998 Winter Olympics. That's right, we're in Nagano. It has roughly the same population as Asahikawa, but the vibe is very different, I find, and your options for food, entertainment and accommodations are just as good. When we look at a map, we can see that there are ski resorts in every direction, which makes Nagano an awesome hub if you want to explore various resorts over multiple days. Hakuba, basically the Honshu equivalent of Niseko when it comes to popularity, is only an hour away. Same for the resorts of Myokokogen, Madarao, Lotte Arai, Nozawa Onsen and many more. I think in total I spent around 10 days in Nagano, as you just won't get bored there, and depending on the snow forecast, which can vary significantly throughout the region, I decided the night before what resort I want to go to the next day. If you want to know more about all the resorts in the area, let me know in the comments and I'll make a separate video. The hotel I stayed at was the 4-star Kokusai 21 hotel, which only cost me $60 for a massive room and a beer vending machine on the same floor. It's almost like they were expecting me. On your day off, I recommend visiting the nearby temple as well as the Snow Monkeys. The Snow Monkey Park is also about an hour away and you can get there by bus if you don't want to drive. If you want to find out more, check out my video about it. You can easily rent a car in Nagano, and yes, I'm aware that the places I mentioned so far require a car, except for Sapporo maybe, and that this might not be everyone's cup of tea. If it's your first trip to Japan, you'll be bombarded with so many new and unique impressions that it almost doesn't matter where you go. So even if you just do a week in Niseko or Hakuba, you'll still have a great time. However, I believe it's definitely worth it to leave the beaten path and explore lesser known towns and resorts, even if it's just for a few days. I don't think you'll regret it. For our last city, let's go back to Hokkaido and have a closer look at Otaru, Sapporo's little sister, as I like to call it. Now, what could be so different if it's only a 30-minute drive from Sapporo? Well, for one, it's right at the ocean, which you'll also be able to see while skiing at the nearby resort. Though it doesn't offer much off-piste, I did quite like the groomers there. At nighttime, you can enjoy some very cool bars and restaurants. Everything here just feels very homey, and you can sense that you're in a smaller town, somewhat removed from Sapporo's big city hustle. In a way, Otaru's location is preferable to Sapporo, as you can be in Kokusai or Kiroro in half an hour, and even Niseko is still at a reasonable distance with an hour and a half. If you want a day without spending money on lift tickets, you could also hit some barriers. Or just take the day off, have amazing sashimi at the fish market, or just eat your way through the city center. Our hotel was very nice and affordable, and since Otaru is actually more popular during the summer, there is plenty accommodation to choose from during the winter months. There even was a Bavarian restaurant just minutes from our hotel.
Prost. I'm impressed. Well done, Otaru. I'm moving here.
Yeah, that was some good beer, which is why I brought back this Weissbier glass. So, prost, or kanpai, as they say in Japan.
Kanpai.
Kanpai. These are the 4 amazing cities I highly recommend for skiers and snowboarders. Let me know about your experience in the comments, if you've already been to any of them, and also if you think there's a city I forgot. If you want to find out more about skiing in Japan, check out one of my other videos on this channel, as well as my Japan Arrival Guide, which you can download for free when signing up to the Slippery Slope newsletter. And if you want priority access to my upcoming Japan and ski videos, check out the members only area. Here you can also book a private session with me to get personalized advice when planning your next trip to Japan, so you get the most bang for buck on your journey. Thanks to italki for sponsoring this video. Check out the link in the description if you want to learn some Japanese or any other language. Thank you for watching. Until next time, kanpai.